Welcome to the Doulos Christus podcast. We will tell you things you don't need to know about.
You know, you have such a lovely voice.
I try.
Well, I'm not saying today.
Not right now.
You were in music for a while, weren't you?
I was, yeah. That was my major before I did nursing.
Music to nursing.
Yep.
What's the connection?
Me.
So, yeah, that is true. That's true. So when you're at work, do you sing?
Yeah, a lot.
To the patients?
No, I feel like that'd be weird.
Well, they say that, if someone sings to somebody, they get better. So you'd think you'd have nurse troubadours.
Yeah. You'd think music therapy would be used more often because, it is a whole field of study. There's like music pedagogy and stuff where they study the science of music. And
you see, there you go again, just throwing out words. It
was my major. You probably got all kinds of crazy words with the doctorate.
Pedagogy. Yeah. My doctor gives me some crazy words.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Like Bible.
Yeah.
Sin.
And that one's big enough that it doesn't,
So
it's its own.
I was playing cards with some people, and they had their daughters with them, and their daughters were like, I don't know, 8 years old, 10 years old, something like this. And one of the daughters makes an outlandish statement. I said, that's not true. And she goes, it's hyperbole.
Oh.
I'm like, I didn't learn that word until I was in college.
Well, if it's hyperbole, then it's good enough for me.
Yeah. So, hello, this is Doulos Christos, and I am Paul.
And I'm Dan.
In case you didn't know that. So, because it is our show. Anyway, shall we try that all over again?
No.
No, we're gonna keep all that.
I think we should.
Okay. Why not?
So today's topic, we've got a topic.
It is one of those topics that is an old topic.
Very, very old.
But new.
It's
kind of like what Jesus said. I give you a new commandment, but it's old.
Yeah.
And that's love.
And then there's nothing new under the sun.
There's nothing new under the sun. So it's a new commandment in that he was given it over again and reminding them of the importance of it. So we're going to talk about an old topic.
Which is
science versus evolution.
Dinosaurs.
Oh, no. Dinosaurs. Where did dinosaurs come from?
Or evolution.
Or creation. It's basically creation what we're going to talk about.
Yeah.
And how it fits into evolution if it does. Yeah. And in that where dinosaurs come from and so we'll be studying a little bit about paleontology.
Yeah, paleontology and
I had a word.
Pangea.
Pangea. See, I
don't know.
Yeah, panacea.
Panasonic.
Okay. So anyway, the topic of creationism is a really hot button in Christian circles today because you have two real polarizing individuals who kind of battle each other in books and on debates and sometimes they can get a little bit, volatile.
Yeah.
And that is Ken Ham, who is a
Ken Ham.
you say that.
Yep.
And is a 7-day creationist.
Yes.
And I can't remember the other guy's name right off the bat. He wrote the book Fingerprint of God, and he is he's an old Earth proponent, and I'm gonna find that name here soon.
Not Lee Strobel.
No, Lee Strobel, I don't know where he stands on the issue of creationism, but he is more of a discipleship guy.
Yeah.
We'll figure it out.
I don't know why I'm thinking. I know it's not Richard Dawkins, but
no, he's an atheist.
He's an atheist, so that wouldn't help at all.
He would be an old Earth guy.
he's pretty older.
Hughes is his last name.
Hughes,
and he is an old Earth proponent. He is a literal creation proponent, but he believes that the translation of the words in the Hebrew give a larger view of day than just a literal 7 hours or 12 hours, 7 days. So the question then becomes: which is it? Is it a literal 7 days, or is it along Earth. Now, I had my research assistant look up some information for me on the major views of creation for Christians.
Yeah, Porthos, can you pull that up for us?
Thank you, Porthos. Bring that over here.
Yeah.
And there are 7 of them.
7 views?
I know.
Huh.
I'm like, really? So I was reading through them and going, yeah, I know them. They intertwine a lot.
Mm.
So the major one for is the young Earth proponent, and they basically are saying that the Earth was created, the universe was created in 6 days, literally 24 hours each day.
Okay.
The biblical basis is the literal interpretation of Genesis 1 and 2, and the view rejects much of modern scientific consensus on the age of the Earth and evolution, advocating for a young Earth and a global flood as described in Genesis.
Mm-hmm.
So it takes...
That's Ken Ham.
That's Ken Ham, yeah, totally. So if you have never gone to the art experience, I'd encourage it.
Yeah, the Ark Encounter Creation Museum is a really cool thing.
And it goes through a lot of this and the science behind it, because a lot of people say, well, it's only the Bible, but there is some science behind it. So the second one is an old Earth creationism, and that would be the Hugh Ross. That's his
Hugh
name.
Norman Ross.
I knew it was going to come to my mind because, I am over 65. And
well, there's just too much knowledge up there. It takes a second to recall.
Yeah, I have an old computer brain. Its processors
need a little more RAM.
I do, man. It is the old Earth belief, and it basically says that God created the universe and life over a much longer period, aligning with the scientific understanding of Earth's age, 4.5 billion years. Biblical basis is Genesis days are interpreted as long periods, the day-age theory, or as symbolic frameworks. Accepts the age of the Earth and universe, but rejects microevolution, which species involving another. So those are really the 2 big ones.
Yeah, those are the 2 that you hear most about.
Right, because anything else will either be evolution, evolutionary, what do they call it? Creation evolutionists, basically that God used evolution to bring about life. Mm-hmm. That's really forced in the text. I think we'd be better off focusing on these first 2, which is about day age and how old is the universe.
Right.
Now, I was asking you beforehand. If you remembered back to your high school.
Yeah, my high school biology days.
Yeah. Do you remember much about science?
I do. Mr. Salmons, he was our advanced biology teacher. Thankfully, I was very lucky. He was a follower of Christ.
Okay.
And so he got it approved that he said through the school board, he got it approved that he said in order to be an accurate scientific representation, you should be presented all of the different things.
Right.
So he said, if you're going to make me teach evolution, I'm also going to teach the creation idea. He's like, I won't teach the gospel side of it, but people should be informed about all of the ideas.
Oh, yeah.
And so thankfully he did do that. He taught us, it was like first semester, we learned about evolution. Then the second semester, he taught about what Christians believe and what the biblical topic of creation teaches.
Oh, okay.
And so he went through a couple of different, was it 7 or 6 literal days of creation, or was it the day-age theory? So I was very fortunate to have a teacher that did that.
That's really good. Yeah, my after high school, I went into the University of South Florida as a marine biologist major.
Ooh.
So and that lasted 6 months. I failed my first biology test, and it was like, I'm going to go into theater instead because it's a lot more fun.
Yeah.
But I remember my biology class, it was a majors class, and the professor, who I think was a believer, but stood up and said, look, if you're going to make it in this department, you have to accept evolution as the theory of a creation or of life on Earth. And it was like, okay, this is going to be a hostile environment to Christians because I can't accept that. So the question is why do people believe that there is longer history to the Earth? I mean, why not believe in just 7 days?
Right. why do people believe that?
Mm-hmm.
I think it's mostly just with the advent of newer science, with the new research methods, and with carbon dating is the big one, and then also what's the other one? Is it like uranium? It's like uranium-6 or some radioactive isotope of measuring the degradation of it over time.
I just had a cramp on my leg. my eyes just went real wide. It's like this is going to be a long day. Age theory.
I think that So I think that unfortunately a lot of that stuff within Christianity has happened after science has proposed it. I think it's a lot of Christians trying to make sense of science.
Of science? Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, one of the big reasons why people believe in a long age of the universe is because of the redshift. Redshift light is it takes so many years or so many light years for it to reach from one point to another. So when you look out to the universe and you're going, man, it's big, and they're mathematically they're measuring distances, and then you have this redshift. How long does it take that light to get from there to here? And so if it takes 1 million years at that distance, well, then the universe has to be big,
right?
And life has to be long. Now, creationism, which was a literal 6-day creation, they would generally say, well, God created it with age. I mean, that would be a reasonable explanation in that Adam was created with age.
Right.
So if Adam was created with age, then why can't everything else be created with age? The other side would say, well, that would be deceptive because God doesn't say that. He doesn't say, I mean, he doesn't. He just says that it took on this day, and you can interpret that word in Hebrew to mean long ages, and they'll make a case for it. I think it's a weak case, but they can make a case for it. And so it becomes an idea that, well, if the universe is really this big and it takes the red light to get there this far, how can I make sense of it, like you were saying? How can I make sense of it from a Christian biblical perspective?
Right.
And so they're trying to figure it out. And so the other side's trying to figure it out too. And so there becomes this conflict between the two of them because both of them don't believe in microevolution.
Right.
Yeah, microevolution. That's where one species transforms into another species.
Right.
Both of these positions deny that categorically.
Is that micro or macro? Now I'm trying to remember.
Maybe it's macro.
Because I think macro is like adaptation.
No, micro would be
micro adaptation.
Micro would be adaptation. In other words,
that's right.
Species adapt to their but they don't change species.
Right. So macro is what. Yeah.
Right. Good catch there.
Yeah, it's best to do it now.
Yeah. You have to come back and say, well, yes, last episode was wrong.
Yeah, we'll just copy and paste that.
And the remarks below.
Yeah.
So you have to deal with, and they make all these claims, and then they get into these arguments. And the sad thing about it is that these arguments sometimes are real volatile. So the question then is, who? This is getting into my theories. Who was the first? Who are the first audiences of Genesis 1 and 2?
I mean, I think angels is probably maybe it. Or did angels exist before creation? Like the creation of Earth and all that?
Hard to say. That one's not a real clear one either. No, but who is it written to?
Israelites.
Israelites coming out of Egypt, right? So there's one theory in here that deals with that idea, and it is called. I'll tell you here. I can't remember what it is here, which one it is. I think it's framework hypothesis. Genesis 1 is not a chronological account, but a theological and literary framework emphasizing God's sovereignty and order in creation. I think that's a very important aspect of it because The question is what was the cosmology of the ancient Egyptians?
Mm.
And they had like 7 of them. And they all contradicted each other. And they didn't care. Because that's the way the Egyptian mind worked at the time. They all had these different cosmologies, and it was like, well, yes, but yours is conflicting with mine. Well, let's have a debate over it. They didn't do that, right?
Yeah.
And so they just said, oh, great, I'm glad you have yours and stuff. So for 400 years, while Israelite is growing up in Egypt, that's the cosmologies they were getting. So God takes them out, and what does he have to do? He has to do a couple things. He has to reorient their cosmology and help them to understand why they've been through this terrible event of slavery. Where did sin come from? Okay. And so we get this cosmology of Genesis, which if you go through Genesis 1 and 2, you see a parallel between the days of creation and certain aspects of Egyptian cosmology. When God creates water, there is a god of water in Egyptian, and he is actually the water itself.
Yeah.
So what God's doing here is he's saying, look, not only is that cosmology wrong, I created it. I stand out and above that God. Even if he was true, I stand way out and above him because I created it and started it. And so every aspect of creation deals with an aspect of that cosmology. So God is correcting their cosmology. So I think it's important for us to understand that, one, Genesis isn't a scientific textbook.
Right.
There's nothing in there that gives us any reason to think that he's trying to teach us science as we understand it. So my contention is a number of things, but my contention is that in order for us to understand the way the universe was truly created from our cosmological standpoint, God would have to intervene again and give us a new revelation, which he's going to do.
At the end.
Yes, at the end.
I was going to say, not.
Just see the look on his face. It's like, where are you going with that? No, it's going to be at the end where he destroys this world and this universe and recreates it all. We're going to be able to stand back and go, oh, that's how you did it.
Yeah.
And so I think that we get caught up in these things, and I understand it because what Hugh Ross will say is that prior to his popularizing his idea in books, a lot of scientists were turned away from Christianity because 6-day creationists dismissed their understanding of the universe.
Yeah, I think that the church, unfortunately, was a big part of deterring a lot of science throughout the ages, although it was also a big part of making it happen.
Yeah.
But a lot of research and stuff was stopped because of what the church said, like different doctrines. I know that early people who studied anatomy and physiology and stuff, when they would have people who donated their bodies to science or whatever it was called back then, the church would say, no, you can't do that because it's unethical to do that to a dead body.
Yeah, desecration.
And so I know that a lot of scientists in their early ages were like, well, this is annoying. You're putting a stop to a lot of knowledge we could have. And, whether it was right or wrong, now because of that stuff happening, we have a lot of medical procedures that do help with these things. So
the end justifies the means.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
No, but and so much that Galileo was ostracized because of his view that the Earth was not the center of the universe, and then of course science comes out and proves that it's not the center, and the church looks really stupid.
Yeah, it's like, it's not.
And so the church gets blamed for being unscientific when I don't think it's really fair because the church wasn't their realm.
Right. And even in the realm of the church, it kind of is the center, like in the way that it's the center of the story.
Right.
Right. Like the church, like we don't care what direction stuff spins in space. It's like big deal. Rocks are out there.
That's right.
Like, our story and what we know about Christ matters. Like, this would be a whole other episode, but like if there's aliens out there or if there's other life, like if God created something somewhere else, that's not really pertinent to us. Yeah. What we know is the revelation God gave us.
Well, it's not pertinent until they show up.
Until they show up. And then Yeah, that should be one of our next episodes. Aliens.
Ooh.
Are they creatures from another planet, or are they fallen angels?
Aliens are not just from
Question
Mexico.
mark. I personally think that they have a lot to do with the fallen angels. That's an opinion. There's not a ton of canonized biblical evidence for that.
Yeah,
But
that's a good. Yeah, we'll discuss that at another time.
Yep.
So anyway, back to this. And so the question is, I have some friends and who are ardent Hugh Ross proponents and Long Earth, and so when they look at 7 days of creation, they say, well, it can't fit in there. It has to be something else, because they're trying to reconcile and yet stay firm to the literal aspect of creation, right? Of the account, because they don't want to say that the Genesis is symbolic, and they don't want to say that it is metaphoric. They want to say it is literally true, given these definitions.
Right.
You know? So I have a theory.
Okay. Let's rock.
Let's rock. I've got a theory. Besides the idea that it wasn't a scientific book written to science, that it was written to change the cosmology of the early Jews, I have a scientific thing, and this is, I'm not the one who proposed this. This is from a mathematician. He is an astrophysicist. His name is Hugh something too. I can't remember. But the theory is white hole theory.
White hole theory.
White hole theory.
Yeah, not black hole.
But it's opposite of black hole.
Yeah.
So what do black holes do?
In theory, black holes suck in everything that is around them. It's like, isn't it like entropy? Isn't that like part of black hole theory? Like everything goes inside of it and becomes one.
Yeah, it smashes.
Whereas white hole is the opposite. Everything comes out from it.
But a black hole, so what you have in a black hole is you have everything's moving towards it, and it's getting slower and slower. It's pulling in fast, and so you get the event horizon. And as it moves into it, it slows down, slows down, slows down, slows down, and then it gets into the bottom, and everything is just crushed together, and it goes somewhere. Right?
At least so far, that's been our understanding.
That's our understanding. Plus, if you've ever watched the movie Black Hole,
which is, yeah.
I mean, from the 70s.
Yeah. So that's science.
It's science. and what happened was this guy went into a black hole and ended up being in hell. So it was kind of this hellish metaphor. But the white hole theory is a theory that because the way it works is it's opposite black hole. So instead of sucking things in, it spits it out, but it spits it out at a certain rate. And as it goes out into the event horizon, it gets faster and faster and faster. No, it gets faster, faster, faster until you get entropy, until it settles out and it's even.
Okay.
Right. So it's coming out fast and then it slows down, right, and so forth. So what happens at the center of the white hole is that time is going at a specific rate until it moves out. So the theory is that inside the white hole, the tunnel, the vortex, it's 7 days. It's 6 days of creation. So as God creates, it moves outside of the white hole and slows down. So by the time the next thing is, it's so far away because it's moving out, it's fast going this way until it hits entropy. And then it is slow inside. So it literally 6 days of creation happen literally inside. But as it goes out, it looks further and further and further away. And according to this physicist, the math works. And he's challenged Hugh Ross to debate him on it, and Hugh Ross won't do it. I don't know why, but he doesn't.
I feel like there's not enough evidence to really debate it. Like there's a lot of theories, but it's like...
Well, it's about math. And so what he's saying is show me how the math doesn't work. Don't talk about theories, just show me how the math doesn't work. Where all the rest of it is theoretical.
Right.
And theories are not proven. Right. And he's just saying, look, I'm open to being wrong if you show me how the math doesn't work.
Right.
And I love it because I love white hole because it tells us why there's a red shift that is so far away and how creation can be done in 7 days. literally. And
Hmm.
and when God says, "Let there be light," and there was,
Yeah.
poof, you have this white hole,
Mm-hmm.
or this white hole, and everything starts happening, and then once it's gone, it's gone. You know. Whereas a black hole starts sucking everything, and then you have several different ones. So I like the white hole theory. It's my answer to every cosmologist who says, well, I think that it has to be long days. I go, white hole. White hole. And they all look at me like, what are you talking about? So I tell them about this guy, and they got to go look at it. But I don't know if they do or not, because I read his book, and I understood about 2 words per page. You know, because it's math. But if you look up white hole theory, did you do that?
I just did. I was looking up because I've heard about white hole theory. I wasn't sure if any had ever been seen. And from what I'm seeing is there's no cited reference of ever having seen a white hole. There's no...
Oh, of course not. You can't. Because white holes would be a creation of a universe.
So you're saying the only white hole is the beginning of creation,
right? Yeah, it would. Yeah, because once you have a white hole, it has created this universe kind of thing. So I'm waiting for my research assistant here. White holes are theoretical cosmologic regions that are the opposite of black holes. They are regions of space and time where matter and light simultaneously appear and explode outward, instead of exploding and disappearing. You know, so the question is, do white holes exist in space? White holes are the opposite. White holes are purely hypothetical objects, which is true. They're hypothetical in the sense of we've never seen one, but mathematically, according to my guy, it is possible because of the math.
Right.
But I got to find the guy's name. Now, if you look up his video on YouTube, you can find it. White hole theory, creation, and white hole theory, probably a good way to look that up. And if you listen to it, it is boring as all get out. The guy is not a charismatic speaker. He is a mathematician, and he just lays it out. And he tries to use some graphics seem like early Star Trek. Like, oh, that's kind of hard to watch. So I was in a Sunday school class once, and I was talking about all this, and I brought out his video, and you could just see their eyes glaze over. It's like, this isn't exciting, you know. But I think the hard thing about it is that, you know, creationism in itself will always be theoretical.
Right, right.
And the reason for that is because in science, pure science, it has to be replicable.
Yeah, the scientific method can't apply to it.
Yeah, and we can't replicate it. So it's
yet.
Well, with AI, we might be able to. Yeah. Hey, that's another topic.
The new AI confessional. Did you see that this week?
Oh, I heard about it, and it was AI Jesus. That just kind of like...
Yeah, right. It's like, what, if I'm confessing to Jesus anyway, why am I going to a confessional?
Well, that's true.
Right? Like, I don't know. And then also, like, why did it have to happen in Switzerland? Like, where CERN exists and...
Well, and that's the other thing, right? CERN?
Yeah.
And no, because CERN is okay, well, I need to say it. It is a superconductor.
Yeah.
And so it's huge. How many miles is this?
I'm honestly not sure. I don't know the measurements, but
it is tremendously huge. It
the
covers,
Hadron Collider.
Yeah. And so the fear of it when they first turned it on was it was going to create a black hole and everything was going to get sucked into it.
Right.
And it happened.
Yeah. A lot of people think so.
Yeah.
Because it happened in, was it 2012? When did they turn it on?
It would have been.
Porthos, can you look that up for us?
Yes, if you would. Yeah. So CERN actually was built 2024 BC, before CERN.
Huh?
Because AC, after CERN, it's a whole new thing because of black hole occurred.
Oh.
Yeah, see, we're Wrap your head about that one, okay?
I thought it was like Anno Christo.
There he goes with those Latin words.
Isn't
man.
that what it is? AD and
Oh yes, it's Anno
Domino is AD.
Yeah.
And then BC is Bromeo Christo. I don't know.
But if you're building a device that creates a black hole and destroys everything, then you have AC and DC.
Yeah.
AC/BC.
Alternating current.
There you go.
Direct current.
Well, you know what 42 is?
42. No, what do you mean? The number 42?
The number 42.
No.
It is the answer to the ultimate question of the meaning of life.
Oh.
The problem is that we don't know what the question is.
The question. Yeah.
Well, it all stems from this relationship with mice and computers, and they wanted to know what the answer to the ultimate question of life was. So they built this mega computer. And they asked the mega computer, what is the answer to the question of the ultimate question of meaning of life? And so he says, I don't know. It'll be about 1 billion years before I can spit out an answer. So a whole cult of people developed around this over these billions of years. And at the end of the billions of years, it spit out the answer. And the answer was 42. And everybody's going, 42? What do you mean 42? And it says, well, yes, that's the answer. But what's the question? He says, we don't know what the question is. You didn't ask that. You just asked what the answer to the ultimate question was. So now we have to find out what the ultimate question is. Because if the ultimate question and the ultimate answer come into contact, everything will be destroyed and something new and more bizarre will come into its place. Some people think it's already happened.
The Hadron Collider.
Yes.
A lot of people think that was a part of the initiating of the tribulation period or the apocalypse. Because they're saying that part of what that did was like it thinned the veil or something between
this world and
the heavenly.
You know, I talked about this morning in my sermon about conspiracy theories.
Yep. I remember that.
Yeah. So don't go that
way.
Don't do it. Don't go down that way.
It is a waste of mind.
There was not a second shooter.
Yeah.
I don't think.
We don't know.
We don't know.
Probably never will.
No, that's why it's meaningless.
Yeah.
So creation, 7 days.
7 days.
I believe that the earth was created in 7 days in a white hole, and that it makes sense for the rest of the universe being older and the red shift.
I believe that it was created in a literal 6 days, and that God's powerful enough to manage that. And in this time.
And we're still brothers.
Of course.
You know why?
Because maybe my theory, maybe it did happen that way in the white hole. I mean, God maybe created it in that exact time in the white hole, and he was like, well, I don't know.
It's one of those things where we can't really answer it.
No.
And so to be mad at each other because we disagree or because I disagree with somebody else, we're called to love and be unified in Christ. Yeah. And it's really all about Jesus, isn't it?
Yep. And that's why Paul, when he went to people, he came knowing nothing but Christ and him crucified. Because that's all we can know.
That's right.
And everything else doesn't matter that much.
So our discussion today is focused all on that thing. We wanted to draw everybody's attention that, yes, it's fun to talk about, but it's not something to divide the church over.
Nope.
And in the end, we want to love Christ.
Love Christ. And dig for truth. You know, it's good to look into these things, I think.
Go to the ark.
Yep.
You know, and if you disagree with the ark experience, that's okay.
It's still cool.
It is still cool.
Yep.
It is one big boat.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I think, I think that there's merit to the white hole theory. And like you said, I don't think we can really know.
No.
I'm confident in that, just like I'm usually confident in a lot of things that I believe in.
Well, it's all about holding on to certain things tightly and holding on to certain things loosely.
Yep.
And knowing which is most important.
We come to you knowing nothing but Christ and him crucified.
That's right. Yep. Two guys just talking about Jesus, man.
Yep.
So how about I pray?
You pray.
I pray.
Good call.
Father, we just thank you for your wisdom, your light, your guidance, your truth in the Scriptures. And though we may not understand certain aspects of it or agree on them and still be convinced with it, we want to depend on you most of all. And so we want to emulate Jesus in our lives and to love one another and to hold each other when accountable. And Father, as if there's anyone who's listening who doesn't know Jesus as their Savior, despite what they believe cosmologically, we just pray, Father, that they will give their lives over to you. And in doing that, they will learn to walk in the light, be free from their sin, and to know what it means to be whole. Father, we thank you in Jesus' name. Amen. White hole.
White hole. Was it 6 days, or was there some space?
Dinosaurs. We never got into dinosaurs.
Dinosaurs. Next episode, maybe.
Or maybe not.
Maybe not. Thanks for listening.
We're out of here.
This episode brought to you by Porthos.
Hey, Porthos.